because it happened to him. So if I can ask Connell to come up and just share with you.
You'll need to excuse me, guys. This is the first time I've ever stood up to tell my story before. So I'd like to thank Robert and Sue for inviting us along, and well done to all you lot for, trying to take control back into your own hands. So yeah, as Robert says, I was diagnosed almost 3 years ago with kidney cancer, and the doctors discovered a 7 centimetre diameter tumour growing out of my kidney. So they sent me for I had some scans. The only symptom I had was I passed blood in my urine. No other symptoms. I thought I was in good health, and so I went to my GPs. They sent me for scans at the hospital, where it was discovered I had this almost 7 centimetre mass, as they termed it, from my kidney. So they sent me for a CT scan, and then I had the results with the consultant a couple of weeks after that. So my wife and I went in, not expecting to be hit with the news I was hit with, and the doctor asked me what I knew. I says, well, I've got a mass on my kidney. And he says, yeah, we need to call it a mass until we know exactly what it is. And he looked me in the eye and he says, it's cancer. And I sat back in my chair and I thought, no, it can't be. And he says, why can't it? I says, there's no history of it in my immediate family. And he says, nowadays there doesn't have to be. And I've said, I'm only 32-year-old, and I just had a 4-month-old daughter at the time. And so this was the Friday, and I was due to go to Australia on holiday with my wife and daughter on the Tuesday. So the Friday is when I was diagnosed, and I says, so what now? He says, we need to get it out. And I says, when? And he says, let me have a look. The nurse will take you into the room next door, and they'll have a look, and we'll call you back in. So he called me back in. He says, we've got you in on Monday. I says, I'm going to Australia on Tuesday. He says, no, you're not. So Monday came. I was passing a lot more blood that weekend, and I was a bag of nerves. Just didn't know what to expect. And because of the physical size of the tumour, he says, don't be alarmed if I need to split you from the middle of your stomach to the middle of your back to get it out. So he says, I'll try and do it laparoscopy. First of all, keyhole surgery. So I went in the Monday, and I was taken down first, and he took the kidney and the tumour out, and by lucky managed to do a laparoscopy. And so I was out of bed the next day, and just wanted to get myself back up on my feet. And they sent it off to histology, to the lab for the histology report. In that time, I had a little lump in my head as well, and when I'd asked the question, everyone just thought it was a sebaceous cyst, so no one really thought it was related to my kidney cancer. So the consultant thought it was just confined to my kidney, and he managed to remove it all, and so I thought, fantastic. And I said, but this little lump in my head, is there anything to worry about? And I said, no, everyone thought it was just a sebaceous cyst. Go back and see your GP if it bothers you. So I went back to my GP a couple of months later, and about the little lump in my head. And so again, everyone thought it was a sebaceous cyst, but because of what I'd been through, they sent me to the consultant to have this little lump removed. And then a couple of weeks later, I got the phone call from my consultant secretary saying that he would like to see me. And I says, what's it regarding? Oh, he didn't say. I says, when would you like to see me? She says, oh, tomorrow. So I thought, here we go. So I went the following day, and was hit with the news that the little lump that I had in my head turned out to be a metastasis of my kidney cancer. My wife was in bitch, what does that mean? And I says, it's spread, and he went, yeah. So from that point, I went from having stage 3 kidney cancer to stage 4, terminal, incurable, and so he referred me to the oncologist, and I was put on a chemotherapy drug. And my quality of life after that just plummeted. So much so, it all sticks in my head. I took my daughter out for a walk with my wife one day, and I couldn't even make it to the end of the street. And I've always considered myself to be fit and healthy. I had to sit in a wall and get my breath for 5 minutes, and then had to turn around and go back to the house. And I was on it over Christmas Day. I was basically in my bed all day. My daughter was 1 at the time. And I had it was a rapid response card, it was called. So if I had flu-like symptoms, if my temperature was above 37.5 degrees, or I felt generally unwell, I had to call this number. So I woke up one morning with a bit of a head cold, but I thought, best not take any chances, so I'll call the number. And it says to me, get straight in. I said, why, it's just a head cold, so it doesn't matter, you have to come straight in. So I went in, I was hooked up to an antibiotic drip, I was loads of blood taken from me, sent off to the lab, they sent me for a chest x-ray, and then they came back, and my wife was with me, and they says to my wife, you'll have to go and get an overnight bag for him. And I says, why? And they says, oh, your white blood cell count is dropped to 0.98, anything less than 1, you're hospitalised, because you've got no immune system then. And it was my daughter's first birthday that weekend, actually, and I said, I'm not staying in the hospital for my daughter's first birthday. And then they said, you have to, if you walk out here and someone sneezes, you've got no immune system. And but I was adamant I was not staying in hospital, so they rang my oncologist and he agreed that, I could get out. And they says, but if anything, you feel genuinely unwell, you need to come straight back in. And so that made me question things, thinking, why, if this is supposed to be helping me, is my immune system rock bottom? Your immune system is the one thing you need to fight off any infection. So at that point, I just started like Robert. I mean, my wife never seen me. I was just constantly on the computer researching researching how people had beat it and what they had done. And everything was pointing me towards nutrition. So I started to look, and there was some places in America. There was the Hippocrates Institute, the Gerson Institute. I was looking at all these places, and I thought, oh, it'd be great to go to one of these places. But I couldn't afford it, and I wouldn't have been insured at the time either because of everything that I'd been through. So I found a place. It was down in Cornwall, and it was a health retreat. So it was all basically juicing organic veg every day, juicing wheatgrass, and more like following a raw vegan diet. And so basically the same program that the Hippocrates Institute and the Gerson Institute followed. And I was a big meat eater before, and I used to go to the gym 3-4 times a week, and I'd have my steak, 3 or 4 times a week, and I'd take the whey protein shakes and think, oh, I'm building muscle and I'm in great shape. And so that was all completely new to me. And when I was there, they did like 1-on-1 yoga, they did a bit of Reiki, and it was all alternative. And if you'd have took me back 18 months before it, I thought, oh, no way, that's too far out there for me. But I thought, I'll give it a try. And it was the best move I ever made. It basically just it built the foundations that I needed to then, take control and, get my health back on track. So, before that, though, I was on the chemo drug, and my quality of life, as I say, it just plummeted. So I says to my wife and family, I says, I'm coming off this drug. And they're all saying, don't be so bloody stupid, you need to listen to the doctors, there's no way you can come off it. And I thought, well, that's the thing. I was sent to a clinical psychologist as well, basically to talk about the end. I had to plan my own funeral, and I'm originally from Glasgow, as you'll probably tell from the accent, so I'm thinking, do I get buried in Glasgow, or do I get buried in Derby, where my wife's from? And my wife is only 30, so I'm thinking, she's got all her life in front of her, do I get buried in the graveyard here, and then all my family won't be able to visit because they're all in Scotland? And I couldn't speak to my wife about it because she was in bits, and I couldn't speak to my family about it because they were in bits, and so I'm dealing with it all myself. And I thought, no, that's it, I'm coming off this, and I'm taking matters into my hands. So that's when I found Trinity Farm, the organic farm shop out at Osworth, next to Connell. So I went there, and I basically just bought as much vegetables as I could. No fruit because of the high glycemic index, but so it was just vegetables. So I just started juicing as much as I could, drinking as much fresh organic vegetable juice, and in that time as well, I also had a second opinion, and the prognosis could have been anything from as little as 12 months to a couple of years. They couldn't put their finger on it because when the cancer had spread, it didn't follow the path that it normally would take. It normally goes your kidney, your liver, your lungs, your brain. It goes to your skin seventh. So they thought why mine had gone from my kidney to my skin. They couldn't predict its next move. So as I said, they put me on the chemo, and they told me I'd be on the chemo indefinitely. And that's when I says, what do you mean indefinitely? And that's when, because it's spread from one place to another, they says, oh, you're terminal, it's incurable, so you'll need to stay on this until, till the end, really. And so say I came off it, much to their disappointment, and I thought, well, what have I got to lose? And then it took a while for the drug to get out of my system, but after that, I felt amazing. I had a new lease of life, so I was juicing a pint of organic vegetable juice every morning. I was having liposomal vitamin C, I was having other supplements as well. I was having, went for, I never thought of going for a colonic before. I went for a colonic, and all this is completely new to me, and basically just to hit the reset button on my body, in order to get my health back. And I started training and going out running, and I felt I had more energy than I ever had before when I thought I was in good shape. My recovery time was a lot quicker, and so in that time, a lot of people had then heard what had happened to me, so they were contacting me for advice. And I mean, I would, I can't give advice. I can just tell my story, and people take from it what they want. And so more and more people were contacting me. So I was on the phone every night, and I was emailing, and my wife was saying, this is taking up all your time, because I work full time as well. I never took any time off work really, apart from when I had the surgery. And so she says, you need to set up a website, and put some information on it. So I set up the website, and when my wife and I were out for a walk, and when I thought it was okay, and I says, I just want to save her life now. And so that's basically what I called my website, saveherlife.co.uk. So a lot of people have been contacting me through that, and it's amazing the amount of people that have now been diagnosed with cancer. I just find it unreal. 50 years ago it was a rare disease, and now it's like 1 in 2.5 have it. There's an epidemic, and what's it down to? It's all down to what you're putting in your body. And I mean, I was always racking my brain, why would this develop in me? I was young, I was fit and healthy, and then when I think back, both my parents worked, and so when we had everything was sort of processed food for convenience, because my parents were so busy, but you didn't know it at the time. I never really drunk any water. It was always like fizzy drinks, and so there is a bit of an epidemic of it now. And so what I'm planning now, I'm following a vegan diet. I'm juicing fresh organic vegetable juice every day, and because all these people were contacting me through the website, I thought, I need to do something here. So I decided to run the Nottingham Half Marathon just for myself, to see how far I'd come, because I couldn't walk to the end of my street. And I thought, I'm going to challenge myself and do the Nottingham Half Marathon. And I thought, I'm going to set up my own charity. So I ran the Nottingham Half Marathon, to raise funds. And so the response I had was phenomenal, and I set myself a target to do the half marathon in 2 hours, and I did it in 1 hour and 44 in the end. I was just completely blown away with my fitness levels, and I say it is all down to what I'm putting in my body. And I was told that there was over 50% chance that the cancer would be back within a year, and I just, every time I go for a scan, it was every 4 months. And my scans are, I've been clear ever since. And then I got to the 2-year mark, and I questioned. He says, your scan's still clear. He says, see you in 4 months. And I says, well, I'm not really happy with the amount of radiation you're subjecting me to, having a scan every 4 months, because that's carcinogenic. And he said, well, we'll make it every 6 months now. And then he says, and for the next couple are clear, we'll then make it every 12 months. I thought, God, I've come a long way from being told, I was terminal, to start planning my funeral, to now, we're going to start extending your scans because you're doing well. And, and he says, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. And I says, well, do you want to know what I'm doing? I'm following a vegan diet, I'm juicing organic vegetable juices. And the consultant stopped me and he says, look, I'm not that familiar with that side of things, so I'd rather not comment. And, I thought, well, yeah, and I thought, well, yeah, you might not be interested, but you might have someone like me who's desperate, and you could say, well, I have a patient who's doing this, and it seems to be working. Touch wood. It might not work for everyone, but why couldn't it? And So yeah, so now, as I say, I'm hopefully starting in January, I'm going to start doing like nutritional workshops and juicing classes at Trinity Farm. For anyone who's been diagnosed, you can cut, because it's a scary place when you're first diagnosed. I felt so alone, because I'm thinking, who do I know that's had it and been through it? And all the people that I knew that had it, they never got through it, and so it made me panic. And so it is a very, very lonely place. And I just went into sort of overdrive, just getting the head down and researching as much as I could. And I'm just following the blueprint that other people who have, you can never say you've beat it, because you're living with it every day if it's stage 4 terminal, but just to prevent it from coming back, I'm just following the blueprint that other people have done before me. And as I say, touch wood, it seems to be working for me. So, I want to get the word out there now that when people are diagnosed, and at the farm shop, Lou, the farmer, every week, more or less every day now, he's getting new customers coming in, and he likes to talk to people when they come in, and they've been diagnosed with cancer, and they hear there's something in nutrition but they don't know what. And so I thought, that's ideal. If I can raise money, start the charity, you can tell them, we're going to start having nutritional workshops, once a month. Get everyone together, basically show what I'm doing. Other people can show what they're doing. A lot like what Robert and Sue's doing with this, and hopefully, the charity that I've set up can fund it. And I say your body's an amazing thing. It's you cut your finger, it knows how to heal itself. You just need to give it the tools that it needs. And they say when cancer develops, it's one or two things. It's deficiency or toxicity. So it's a case of just detoxing your body and getting as much goodness into your body as it can for your body to do its own thing. And so as I say, almost 3 years later, here I am, and I'm in the best shape of my life, and I'm really, really passionate about it. So, I mean, I'm an engineer. That's my background, but I've started to do because of what I've learned. I've now started to do a nutritional therapy course through the College of Naturopathic Medicine, and it's a 3-year course distance learning, and but that is my passion now. As I say, and if I can just get the word out there and help as many people as I can, then that's my ambition. And keeping the cancer away and protecting my family as well. My daughter, who's now 3, she juices with me every morning, and when we get up, she says, "Can I do a juice with you, Daddy?" And of course you can. So she gets a little stool over and stands, and she does all the juicing with us, and she drinks it. So she's going to grow up now with a fantastic diet from everything that I've learned, and touch wood, she'll be in great health all her life. So, and yeah, that's my story really.